Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to my garden. It is a little cloudy and cool here in San Diego today, and we are actually expecting rain for a few days next week. So I'm really, really happy that I have this opportunity to get this work done with you. Um, I have an area here of the garden next to my pond that just looks really, really unintentional. It was gorgeous, and it isn't gorgeous anymore. Now it's just kind of run amucky. So I'm going to pull it all out and reset it while we visit. And this is Thing. Thing the cat. This is our kitty that we rescued as a baby from the local shelter about 15 years ago. And his name is Thing because we got a whole litter and all of our litters were themed. So this was a Dr. Seuss litter, and because most of the kittens looked the same, they were Thing 1, Thing 2, Thing 3, Thing 4.
Joyce LeBach, who is a member, is saying hello.
Hi, Joyce. Thank you so much, Joyce, for joining my channel and supporting us and supporting my content. And I want to thank you and everyone like you that got me to wake up to understand that so many of you want to support my channel, that you value what I do and want to contribute. And I haven't given you that opportunity. And for that, I apologize. But we fixed it. So in addition to giving you an opportunity to support the channel, it gives me an opportunity to be creative and come up with really, really fun ways to interact with you and to get to know you. So that'll be a work in progress.
Ask some questions. Have them ask questions.
Okay, yeah, please ask away if you have any questions for me. And these questions, can be garden related or not at this point, with us all being on quarantine and this what's happening in the world. I'm interested in you and how you are and how your garden's growing.
We have 126 people.
Oh, 126 are here already. Fantastic. And it looks like Thing is going to be a big part of this gardening experience today. Sometimes he gets really needy. But so I apologize in advance for Thing, for any of you folks out there that aren't cat people, but remember, this is live. So
Said no fancy dress today.
no fancy dress today. Tomorrow is my birthday. It's also Greg's birthday. We got married on the same day, and our anniversary is tomorrow as well. So we will have celebrated 36 years of marriage, and we both have mutual birthdays. So I'm doing a Zoom brunch with 5 followers, and if you'd like to see who those winners are, you can go check out my story on Instagram at Laura Love Succulents.
Martin Hamilton wants to know if they can put a snake plant in full sun.
Where do you live, Martin Hamilton? I need to know these things.
But can you answer?
No, I can't answer that question because it depends.
My succulents are so buff slut.
I love you, girl.
It's that.
Guy.
And they want to know, my succulents are getting attacked by ants. How can I resolve this issue?
Succulents being attacked by ants, that is an excellent, excellent thing to discuss, because it's not really the ants that are attacking your plants. Ants vector other insects. Oh my gosh. Meaning that their little aphids or mealybugs or scale are piggybacking on those ants, and the ants are delivering them to your plants. So that's what you need to start looking for, are mealybugs, aphids, scale, other pests besides the ants. Get rid of the ants. When I see ants, lots of them, I don't hesitate to use a chemical pesticide on and around the area that is infested with bugs, because a little bug issue here or there, a few ants here or there, a snail here or there, not a biggie. But when you have when you have what I refer to as an infestation, I think it's a better idea to use a chemical solution.
Martin, who was asking about the snake plant, is Iraqis who live in Iraq.
Oh, okay, so
Harsh sun.
lots of sun, then
yeah.
partial sun.
Harsh.
Harsh sun. No, Martin, no. You cannot grow Sansevieria in the full sun if it is harsh. If you work in a coastal climate, then I would say yes, but you want to make sure that that Sansevieria stays in the house or in a shady area of the garden. Hey, you guys, check this out. It's a Sedum Ghostie crest. How cool is that? To handle a crest, you handle it like you would any other succulent. You can just cut it and reset it, and it'll form roots along the edge, or along the edge of the trunk, or at the bottom, who knows where, but it will reroot. It'll be fine. Crests aren't particularly sensitive, or any more sensitive than any other succulent, in my humble opinion.
We have someone, good morning, from your Chula Vista Eastlake friend.
Hey, Chula Vista Eastlake. I live in Winding Walk, which is just south of Eastlake. Oh.
Sorry.
You know, you all wanted to see the animals, so welcome to my world here. I hope they're not too distracting, but if they become too distracting, we will put them away. No problem. Oh, it feels so good to get this stuff out of here.
What succulents can be used in zone 11 and 12?
11 and 12. That's good. You know, you're all right. Pretty much anything, but remember that succulents by nature are arid desert plants, Mediterranean plants. So if you live in an environment that gets humidity on the regular, where temperatures drop below freezing for any length of time, or get up into triple digits Fahrenheit for any given period of time, you are going to want to keep your succulents protected. If it gets hot in your area of the world, then you want to make sure that your succulents have protection from afternoon sun. If it gets very, very cold, you want to make sure that you have the ability to protect your succulents with some sort of a covering. Even a couple of degrees can make a difference to a succulent. If you have humidity, as I know a lot of you do, that's probably the most challenging thing to deal with, because succulents don't love it. So again, keeping the plants as cool as you possibly can and limiting or restricting water during periods of heavy humidity is advised. Make sure your soil drains really, really well.
So, Jen from Brownsville, Texas, wants to know where she could possibly purchase Echeveria Sahara, because online there's no luck.
Yeah. Echeveria Sahara is...
Sometimes sold at Home Depot.
Occasionally, it's an Altman. Is it an Altman plant, or did Tom Jesch? I don't know if Tom Jesch has the rights to that one. Echeveria Sahara is still a plant that is protected. It's not mass produced yet, and propagation of the plant is prohibited. Kind of like prescriptions, you know, when the FDA comes out with a new drug and you can't get the generic, kind of like that. So Sahara might not be up for public domain yet. Once it is, I'm sure you'll be able to get it. I've never bought a plant online in my life. I'm not a really good resource for that. There are a lot of buy, trade, sell, swap groups on social media that you can check out if you're interested in trying to purchase plants online.
Bentley.
Look at this, Fred Ives. See how the roots are growing on the stem? So your plants will figure it out.
Colin Murray says he loved getting to meet Bentley.
Colin, I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. I hope you're well. We've missed you so much, and your visit to my garden was an amazing highlight for me. So I'll never forget that. Thank you so much.
And Susan Walton from Jamaica said that you're the lady who made her love succulent.
Oh, Susan, that makes me so happy. Thank you for that. You know, don't be afraid, people, to get out and just start tearing away. Look at this, is another really funny thing. So sometimes I get really lazy and I don't pull the plant all the way out by the roots. If it's gotten leggy, I'll just cut it and cover it up with other things. So this plant, I cut the top off, left the stem, and look what's happening. Look at that. Talk about resilience, right? These plants will figure it out.
There you go.
Thank you.
So how can you tell if a plant is root bound, and then what do you do to fix it? Do you have to fix it?
If a plant is root bound, in the traditional gardening world, a plant that's root bound will often struggle because it isn't able to hold enough water, moisture, and nutrients because there's no soil to pull nutrients from, and it dries out very quickly. So being root bound, as in the situation like with my lemon tree, is an issue. However, succulents, roots are kind of optional. For the most part, they don't really care. I guess my answer to that question would be it depends on your goal with the plant. Is it a collectible? Is it something that you have in a pot and you want it to be, gorgeous and a showpiece? Is it in danger of cracking the pot? Are the roots coming through the drainage hole? What is the specific situation? General rule of thumb, you can't really have a root-bound succulent and have it cause any kind of a problem, in my experience.
Sarah just spent $99 keeping me indoors.
Thank you so much. Many of you know that Greg and I have been considered non-essential. It stung, but hey, it's the times. And many of you also know that Greg suffered a cardiac arrest in August of 2019, and so he is considered at risk right now. So we want to be extra careful, and therefore we have to kind of figure out our business. We have to figure out how we can stay in groceries and not do landscaping. So
Martin Hamilton wants to know, can elephant bush live in full sun, I don't know, or shade, and can I plant it next to Bougainvillea?
Elephant bush, or Portulacaria afra, I have had tremendous success with it, both coastal and inland in the full sun. I've had luck with it in part sun and mostly shade. And it's a great plant to companion with Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea, I have some against my, I call this my prison wall over here. It is what I call a succulent compatible, in that it has the same basic needs. It can go long periods of time in between waterings.
So what is it that you're doing again?
I am tearing out this section of garden that is run amok. I haven't done anything with it in a few years, and it doesn't look intentional anymore. When you go out to your gardens or to your potted arrangements, and they just don't look the way they did when you planted them, chances are good they need some manipulation. And that's exactly what's happening here. At a glance, oh, pretty. But if you really look at it, it just looks completely and utterly unintentional. And I'm finding the coolest things as I dig in and unbury plants. Look at this ghostie and all of the babies that are growing on its stem. Now I'm beginning to understand what you all are talking about when you tell me, send me your stems. Oh, I wish I had those stems that she was throwing away. Because in the day, before we were quarantined and at home and I had all this time on my hands, it would never have occurred to me that something like that would have any redemptive value. And I swear, I thought you were all crazy. I mean it. I had no idea. Why would you want a stem? Well, now I get it, because plants can grow off a stem. Thank you for that. And you noticed I did not throw this away. I set it aside.
Protect Greg at all costs.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So we're coming up with creative ways to try to do that.
Guy Julius is dying to know who your favorite band and favorite song is.
Okay. I love music. I love any genre. I love basically in life in general, I love anything that's done really well with a lot of passion. So I can really get into just about anything, but I am a product of the 80s. I'm not gonna lie. I love me my 80s classic rock. What can I say? I love me some Elton John. I love Pink Floyd. I love CCR.
What's your favorite song from Pink Floyd?
Probably Comfortably Numb.
And then Elton John.
Oh, Elton John. Oh my gosh. That was the first album I ever owned, was Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I was like 13 and I played it, you know, on loop on the record player. There's so many songs on the album that I love, but Funeral for a Friend and Love Lies Bleeding is probably my favorite jam.
And could you also give a huge shout out to Chris and Carlos from LA?
Chris and Carlos from LA, dudes, are you back? I love you. Thank you so much for your support and for watching my videos and for being so enthusiastic about these plants. Love you so, so much. Thank you, guys.
You have a hello from Croatia.
Oh, Croatia.
Peace from Palestine.
Croatia, Palestine. Amazing. I'm curious what time it is in Croatia and Palestine.
So, how would you recommend planting an outdoor garden around rain?
Above ground. If there's a way, seriously, if I lived in Florida or Texas or basically anywhere other than the outside of the 30 square miles in which I do live, I think it's really, really important to work with nature and not against it. You can do this. Be creative, be smart, pay attention to your surroundings, and adapt. So if I were in a rainy climate, I would construct some really beautiful raised beds. I would fill those raised beds with the best and most porous soil that I could find. I would plant a selection of succulents that I could get my hands on locally. I would check out my local garden centers and find out what grows in my zone, what's available for me to purchase locally. I'd plant it, I'd stick it out and expose it to the elements, and then come back a year later and see what was still standing. And then I would repeat, repeat, repeat.
Joyce Labach, who's also a member.
Hi, Joyce. Thank you.
She says that for her, that stem propagation works much faster than leaf propagation.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's really, really good to know.
Can Greg give a tutorial on construction of a gutter planter?
Yes, Greg, for our members, we're going to be doing some special videos that, you know, we just never took the time to do before. And I shouldn't say took the time because we didn't have the time. Installation after installation after installation. But he's going to be doing some irrigation tutorials and other things that take some time and a little bit of production to put together. And those will be members only videos and something for you to look forward to as well.
Oh, Lynn Little just joined.
Hi, Lynn.
The Keep Calm a Plant aunt.
Oh, thank you, Lynn.
Yeah.
Lynn is a friend from locally here from San Diego, and we see each other at gardening events.
As well as Dorinda Maven. She just joined as well.
Oh, thank you, Dorinda. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that now I'll have a platform and an opportunity to get to know you better. It won't just be this blur of subscribers.
So Buff Slut is back. And,
Buff Slut. I just love that.
How do you feel about sneaking a cutting from a neighbor's lawn? And also, it's a she, so Buff Slut is a girl.
Oh, hey, Buff. Okay.
You do community service all the time.
You know, I call it community service. And back in the day when I was doing the succulent topped pumpkins, I was so desperate for plant material because I didn't have a lot of profit margin in those things, so I needed to find free plants. So luckily I had a community of master gardeners that I was a part of that would let me come collect cuttings from their yards, and that's pretty much how I did it. But I decided that shopping centers, parking lots, open spaces were for the most part fair game. If I saw succulents running amok over onto the sidewalk or just in what I considered to be desperate need of pruning, I might slip a few in my purse, if you know what I mean. But I would not recommend taking cuttings from, and I never did take cuttings or plants from a home or from a yard because karma. I would not be happy if somebody just arbitrarily took plants from me. So I never did that. But what I did do on occasion is ask. You know, I knock on the door, hey, you know, can I have a piece of that? And you know, no one ever said no.
People are wondering how they can join and what does that mean?
What does it?
Few people. So for iPhones, it doesn't always show up the join button. You want to explain that? So they have to go on their computer?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if YouTube needs to refresh or what, but if you're on an iPhone, you probably won't see the join button. And basically, the join button is just a way for you to financially support my channel through membership levels, $1.99 up to $9.99. And then you get special perks and benefits at those levels. But for me, most importantly, it's one, a way to acknowledge you wanting to support the channel. And two, a way for me to have an inner circle, you know, of being able to separate you from the herd, so to speak, because gone are the days when I could communicate with each person that followed me individually. There's just too darn many of you now. So I'm really excited about that. So go to a computer, laptop, or a desktop and go to my page. And it's a button that says join. It's right next to subscribe. Click it, and you can read the directions from it and do whatever you feel led to do. Thanks.
I really need your help with my Sedum rubra-tinctum. Its leaves are too easy to dry and fall down, even though I give them water, and I guess they can't take hot sun because I want them to turn red.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's a couple different varieties of Sedum rubra-tinctum, and they don't all turn red. So, you know, there's that. And also Sedums, the rubra-tinctums are not a big fan of a lot of water. If you're going to pull color from them at all, it would probably be better to withhold the water rather than add it. A lot of times, if a plant is too wet, it will drop its leaves. Also, rubra-tinctum, or for those of you that are unfamiliar with that plant, those are the, I'm trying to see if I have any close by, and naturally, I do. Those are the jelly beans. Here's one that is a good example. Give that a shake, Hannah, and see if the leaves fall off. Okay, leaves are not falling off. So that's a happy one. That's an indicator that I have the right plant in the right place. Now, you know, I don't bat 1,000 people. There have been plenty of plants that I have killed, that have pouted, that I've had, you know, difficulties with. But what I learned was a lot of times it's just not happy where it's been planted. So if you move it 6 feet, 3 feet around to the other side of the house, give it a different exposure, it'll do a lot better. So what I would say, if you have a plant that's pouting, which is what I call plants that just aren't thriving, they're not dying, but they're not thriving. First thing you need to do is move it. Move it somewhere else. Move it around the corner and give it a week or two and see if it doesn't bounce back or perk up. If that is the issue, that will work. You will see a major difference in the health of your plants if you do have it in the wrong place right now and you move it to the right place.
I think we should really quickly, you have a bunch of new members right now.
Thanks, guys.
Go ahead and say hello to them. Amy Beard also sent you $9.99 and said, #1 fan.
Woohoo, Amy Beard, thank you so much.
We have, let's see, Sarah. We have Grant Bailey who joined.
Sarah and Grant.
Foxtrot Charlie.
Foxtrot Charlie, love it. Love it. Love your handles, guys.
Hey, Laura and Hannah, this is John from Dallas. Another rainy day in Dallas, attempts in the 40s. Yeah, had 20 inches of rain so far this year. Whoa. And Althea C just used the Bentley emoji.
Hey, Althea, I'm so glad you got the Bentley emoji. Yeah, Bentley is over in the wings watching this live with Greg. How sweet is he? Now, the old Laura, pre-quarantine, would have cut, you know, the rest of the tops off of this sedum and then put it in the trash. New Laura, the new, kind, patient, gentle Laura, the Laura that has learned to slow down a little bit, isn't going to do that. You will be happy to know that I am going to set this aside and I am going to create a whole new garden of death, for things like this and things like this. And then for my members, for the folks that have joined my channel, when we get on the other side of this quarantine, because I don't want to, to go to the post office or deal with that right now. But just keep your eyes open and be excited because I want to share. I do. You all ask me for cuttings and for leaves and for stems, and I would love to send you all plants. But I can't obviously send 60, however thousand many people plants, but I can send a handful that have decided to join the channel. That just seems a lot more doable, doesn't it? So get ready.
Yeah, Yvonne, while you were saying that, wrote, you should send cuttings to members. And she just said, yay, you read my mind.
Yes, like minds think the same. See, gosh, you're right. You guys have always been right. And I apologize for not realizing or taking the time to understand. As I'm doing this right now, I'm seeing so much potential. I'm pulling the stuff out. I'm going to be setting the pretty parts back in. But there's so much more that I could send to you. So, yeah, this is just another example of how tough times have opened the door for silver linings and given me an opportunity to slow down and take on a different perspective. It has opened up, it's really, really opened up my world. And I want to thank you guys, all of you, joined or not or whatever, doesn't matter to me. I love doing these videos. I will always offer free content. I just love doing them, and I love learning from you, and I appreciate so much your patience with me. It can take me a minute to get it, but I think I've got it. Oh my gosh, here's another one. This
So what's the difference, though, really quickly, between
full of plant material
between Hot Mess and Keep Calm and Plant On? So the Hot Mess people will get shout-outs.
Yes. People that subscribe at the $9.99 level are going to get special shout outs in videos. They're going to get perks, of which I've yet to determine, really, because this is super new to me too. And there's so many options through YouTube. I really wanted to keep it simple. And the bottom line, the reason you would join is to support my channel, just to say thank you. It's because you want to contribute. So that limits expectations and makes it, so that's the main reason. It's for that, I am so grateful. But also it separates you from the herd, and I can see that you are that individual, so that I can speak directly to you in a video. Your comment will be highlighted, and I'll be better and quicker to address your issues, as opposed to the general public.
There's a question from Michelle S. How many succulents can I use in Zone 8? Because she'd like to do a tapestry, but doesn't want to have to bring them in the winter. Are there specific plants for that?
I actually did a Zone 8 YouTube video, and I think it's titled
Zone 8's in it.
Zone 8, yeah, plantings or tapestries or zones 8 through 12. Keyword zones 8 through 12. It's me with a raised bed in my driveway, me and Bentley, and I put together this adorable tapestry of plants that will work in Zone 8 and up. So there's a lot, Zone 8ers. There are a lot of plants that will work for you. I have a client in Thousand Oaks, which is Ventura County, and that zone, they're probably 10A, maybe 10B. I was a little concerned because, I'm milk and honey here, 12, but I went ahead and planted it out. They also have deer, and, but got lucky. After a year, went back to do maintenance and identified that the deer liked the aloe arborescens, but they didn't really like anything else. So I just didn't plant any more aloe arborescens. That's what the deer ate. I replaced those with other things that the deer did not eat. So there's one methodology. Another thing is just, take your cue from the desert. Take your cue from folks that live in, Scottsdale and Yuma, Palm Springs. And note that you can have a really, really gorgeous landscape if you do a lot of mounding and you bring in a lot of colorful boulders and you do some pretty work with staging art or walls. And you can basically just take 5 or 6 plants and repeat them very artistically through your space. Gorgeous, gorgeous way to design. You don't need to have all this to have a really gorgeous succulent garden.
Are there specific succulents that do better inside?
No. Succulents, for the most part, don't love to be indoors. And for those of you that are successful growing them indoors because you have to bring them in, my hat is off to you. I cannot keep a house plant alive to save my life. I don't know how you do it, but yes, my experience has shown me that succulents really, really prefer to be outdoors.
If you ever moved, would you take anything with you?
Moved.
Crest.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, I think that I would definitely start fresh. I think pots, you know, that are sentimental, but I'd want to leave this for the next person to enjoy. And who knows, maybe I could sign them to a maintenance contract and still have access to the yard after I leave. There's always a silver lining. There's always, yeah, generally I think my mind would be on starting fresh. And remember, I'm a designer and I go out and I design dozens of gardens every year and I have to step away from them. That's not easy for me to do because I pour everything into my installations. Which brings me to another point. Another thing that Greg and I are going to start doing, we've already started, is virtual consultations. There's no reason why through FaceTime I can't walk your garden with you and give you really, really solid advice. I don't have to be there. So whether you live here in San Diego or in Zimbabwe or Croatia or, you know, National City, I can consult with you. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to reach out and let me know.
So, what's the most you've ever spent on a plant?
The most I personally have ever spent on a plant, I wanna get this right.
Was it your over there? Or the cactus, the spiral plant?
Oh, no, I think it was probably the Attenuata variegata. I spent, I think, $65 on that as a very, very small plant. Remember, I'm a designer, not a collector. So it's rare that I buy plants. Everything that you see here is basically just project leftovers and cuttings. Then nothing is rare or unusual. It's just kind of common everyday stuff.
The mic is starting to die, so you want to let people know we're just going to take out the microphone and...
Oh yeah, my mic is starting to die, so I'm going to take that off, but you should still have no problem hearing me.
Throw it to me.
Boop.
Say hello.
Hello, hello, hello. See, I'm still here, and I can always, you know, turn it up if I need to. There's plenty of volume left. Yeah, I tell you guys, it's a whole new world to think that I'm going to be keeping this and not throwing it away. And see all of this right here? This is a trip.
What was the most you've ever spent? Oh yeah, show that. And then on a project, like one of the big things you bought, or like...
Oh.
What was like the...
about over $10,000.
On one plant?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, some people want instant gratification. So the plant, you want to buy something that's that big and that old, that's going to cost you big money.
Hi, RC. Someone just said now we can hear Hannah.
Oh, now you can hear Hannah. Good. She has a pleasant voice. But yeah, this is all pups from this. All of this here. These are all individual plantlets. There's probably, oh my gosh, at least 50
Talk louder.
On right in here. It's mind-blowing. It's just mind-boggling.
So everyone is interested to know what plant was that cost $10,000.
It was a Dracaena Draco, and it was more than that. It was more than $10,000. But yeah, Dracaena Dracos are pretty popular. Those are, you know, can be very dramatic. They're pretty easy for me to get here in San Diego.
Talk louder.
Very, very large specimens. So yeah.
Go charge them, yeah.
Oh, and then the aloes. You know, the aloe, the great big aloe Goliath, Hercules, the superhero aloes. I've spent thousands of dollars on those from time to time for clients. I've got those in my garden, but they're little. And they take a really long time, you know, to get big. So I don't begrudge the nurseries charging those prices at all. They've nurtured and cared for these plants for years and years and years. They're worth every penny.
So I have both ghost aloes and aloe veras. That they're both pale and translucent. Any tips to green them up again?
They are very, very stressed. That's why they're pale, kind of pink. The stress, we have to determine what is the cause of that stress. Is it weather related or is it water related? So if I knew what was going on, I would be better able to advise you. But for the most part, just remember it's stress. It's not a bad thing necessarily. I think they're kind of pretty looking, that ghosty kind of grayish pink color. You could try a little more water. You could try a little cactus and succulent fertilizer. You ask me that a lot. Do I fertilize? I don't, because, you know, I don't really need to, but you sure can. There's cactus and succulent mixes available at your garden centers that you can apply following package directions that might help your succulents thrive if you're having some challenges with them.
So let people know again that you don't have your mic right now because it's dying, and you do need to talk a little bit louder because people are saying you're muffled.
Oh, I'm muffled. Yeah, my mic died. I am so sorry, but I'm going to try to talk louder, and we are recharging the mic, so hopefully within the next few minutes or so I'll be able to reattach it and you'll be able to hear me a little more clearly. But just know this, I can hear you.
I also want to give, for those of you that are members, there's a community page, and then even non-members, where we post updates. So make sure to check into that on your, if you go on, where would they be able to find the community button tab? It's on your main page.
Well, if you go to
your
the
profile
main page, it'll give you clickable options like home, videos, community, membership, about. So you just click on the word that says community and it'll take you right there. Okay. Well, there's a rock in here. Oh, it's a flagstone. My bad. Okay. Oh, and then see this? This is a sweet alyssum.
Talk to the phone, Mama.
This is sweet alyssum, and it comes up every winter.
And you shake it.
As a volunteer, I love it. So when it's done, or I just don't like where it's come up, I can shake the seeds out, and then next year it'll come back. So that's just here in San Diego anyway, as I'm sure for many of you in other parts of the country and world, sweet alyssum is a fun repeating perennial plant.
Okay, let me see.
Now this is, many of you have asked me about succulent ground covers and which ones are good to use. This is Sedum blue spruce, and you can see that it's a little leggy, so I'm not feeling this. I think this might have been piggybacking on another plant. I don't think I planted this intentionally in my garden, but I'm not a huge fan of that leggy look. Could I take and cut it and then reset it? I sure could. But remember, plants that work as cuttings tend to have fleshier leaves and stems because they need storage, don't they? They need stores of water and nutrients to sustain them while they reestablish a root system. So typically, the plants that are lacking in plumpness, see the difference, are going to be your casualties if you're going to have any at all. The one that's fluffy there and plump will work much better as a cutting. I like Diamondia. Hannah can show it to you right here. Oh my gosh. That Diamondia that you're looking at right now has been in my garden for a few years. It does tend to get a little ratty in the hottest part of summer, But boy, in the fall, winter, and spring, it is gorgeous. It's like leather. You can walk on it. It's just a tremendously gorgeous ground cover, and I love it. The green next to it is a something called Woolly Thyme.
Woolly Thyme.
It smells amazing. It smells like 7-Up popsicles, if you guys remember those from way back when. And it also, you know, tends to die back a bit in the hotter months, but always resurges for me when the weather cools down. Sedum, I guess of the sedums, the Bougainvillea is probably the most reliable in my garden and the toughest. This is Bougainvillea. I've got clumps of it growing everywhere. I've got clumps of it right here next to the Woolly Thyme. And you know what? It can get a little scrubby too, a little leggy. But the way to solve that, if you're lazy and you don't want to get in there and dig it all up, is just to take some fun little rosettes. Take your multi-tool, fluff up the soil a little bit, and just tuck in some pretty little rosettes where you see stem. So that's another solution if you've got some ground covers that are looking a little sparse, is just to tuck some succulent cuttings in amongst it, and it looks really intentional and finished. But I mean, do you guys have this? Does this happen to you? You know, I don't usually let things get this run amucky. You know, look at those stems. Look how long. You know, and my solution has always been, where are my clippers? Oh, to cut off the pretty parts and reset them. And that's what I'm going to do when I redo this, and pitch the stems. But there are babies, and some of you have indicated on this live that you get better propagation from the stems than you do from the leaves. So rather than throw these stems away, I am going to put them in the Garden of Death and see what kind of regeneration I get. And my members, the folks that join my channel, we're going to work something out where I can send you some plants, because I'm going to have more than I'm going to know what to do with for sure. This is so much fun. Oh my gosh. Am I the only one that can easily spend an entire day on like a 2-foot area in the garden? And am I the only one that thinks it's one of the most satisfying things in the world to do that?
Thank you everyone who is here with us right now. There are 488 people, 491. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for being here.
Sorry if we haven't gotten to any of your questions yet. There are a lot coming in. But make sure to ask these questions too if they're pressing in the community page, so we can answer them.
Yes.
If we don't get to them.
The community page is new, kind of new, so it's shiny, and not very many of you are taking advantage of it yet. So if you want to get to me, go there. At least for a little while, until it gets to be more popular. But for those of you that are here today, you are the early birds.
And you're not the only one, they all say.
Oh, good. Thank you. That makes me feel better.
Have you ever worked with staghorn fern? Roseanne wants to know.
Hi, Roseanne. Yes, I love staghorns. I haven't personally got any in my garden right now, but that's not because I don't like them. I've worked with them in clients' gardens. I have a client in a community about 30 miles west of me that has got a magnificent staghorn collection. Do you have a specific question about staghorns that I can answer?
Patrick says hello from Poland. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Patrick from Poland. Welcome.
So when and how would you remove a cactus bloom?
When and how would I remove a cactus bloom?
Don't they do it themselves?
Yeah, most blooms, you know, kind of give up the ghost all by themselves. But if you're referring to, say, a chino cactus or a beryl, the blooms don't fall off. They just get like straw flowers and then turn brown. I usually take my clippers and just kind of scratch them off. Don't, you know, never touch the cactus itself, but you can take clippers and get as close to where the beginning of the bloom meets the stem of the plant and snip it away. Many cactus blooms are gorgeous for days. Others not so much, so you can experiment with that if you want.
And then Heather Haynes says that you'd be so proud that her children love to pick up detritus, and that's their vocabulary.
Do they now? Well, that is very impressive.
So what is it that you're doing here? When are you going to start replanting? What's the move?
Well, I think, you know,
You should probably film a video for the replanting.
I have, you know, I've basically created a toilet for the cat is what I've done here. And he's eyeing it and just waiting to make his move. But you know, I still have a really, really far way to go. And, you know, I don't want to hold you guys hostage all dang day. So Hannah's right. I should do a video on the, you know, the replanting of this area. Some of you are also waiting with bated breath for me to tackle that hot mess. I am just not in a hurry. That's going to require some heavy lifting. And it's going to take me a while to get in there. I am going to be pulling all of that out and resetting it because it's just too much. But I'm just not ready to do it. Oh my gosh, it's daunting even for me. But I will keep you posted. You will be a part of that when the time comes. Don't you worry. But for now, I think that I've given you all the information that I set out.
1 second. Yes, but no, 1 second, Mama. Teresa, you have a question about the community group. No, it's not just for paid membership to be a part of the community group, although people who are members do have their own separate page, community page.
Right. There will be public postings at the community page. I'll be able to see your comments no matter what, whether you are a paid subscriber or you're not a paid subscriber. But my paid subscribers will have access to special perks, photos, behind the scenes videos, and things just for them.
And then maybe 2 more questions. What brand of clippers are you using? They cut fabulously.
Oh, these are Fiskars. Fiskars, Fiskars. Felco is the Rolls Royce of clippers. They are very, 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 very expensive. These Fiskars you can get anywhere at your mom and pop garden center, at a box store. I like them better than Corona.
I like this question.
Okay.
What plants do you stay away from in your projects and why? And that's from John from Dallas.
John from Dallas, what plants do I stay away from? I'm not, you know, I try not to be a snob, and because every single project is unique, I'm dealing with a unique microclimate, exposure, soil. Sometimes I'm dealing with a unique zone. I'm dealing with unique clients with specific tastes and likes and dislikes. So, you know, I haven't really given a lot of thought to succulents that I quote unquote don't like.
Which ones don't work well in tapestries then?
Well, this apple snap I'm not loving. Here, this is, you know, I planted this in my tapestry here, and this is a sedum.
Louder, Mom.
It has run amok. So I'm not
Talk to the camera.
Sorry, not loving the apple snap in a tapestry. Also, the Senecio.
Talk to the camera.
The Senecio chalk stick. Somebody's unhappy. This is not a favorite in a tapestry here. I think anything that runs amok pretty quickly is something to avoid. I don't do a lot of ground cover or teensy tiny plants in tapestries. I used to, but they're not sustainable.
Okay, so Simone Castro, really, yeah, okay. My Euphorbia trigona is rotting, presumably because of the heavy rain. They moved them to a dry spot. Should I cut the rotting branches? Somebody says yes, others say no. What do you suggest?
Well, trigona is a euphorbia. It is prone to rot, and yes, you should most definitely remove if it's squishy,
Cut off the rot.
cut off the squish, cut all the way to healthy tissue, because that will most likely continue to spread. Also, trigona is a little bit persnickety, and I recommend planting it a little bit above grade so that the water runs off faster. They can be very subject to crown rot, and they also rot at the crotch or the break in the branch, don't they? So if that happens, you can take the branch off that where you see the rot, cut up to clearing tissue, harden it off, and then reset. So you might end up with 15 new trigonas. And you know, it's gonna kind of mess up the one you have, but remember also you might have put it in the wrong place. So try to salvage it for parts, harden off those parts, and start setting those cuttings, hardened off cuttings in other areas of the yard, and then see which one does best, and then plan on that area being your new permanent home for the trigona. And that's pretty much a good rule of thumb for any succulent in your yard that is not thriving, or that is rotting, or that is leaves are falling off of it, or it's turning a weird color. You know, if it's doing it and other plants aren't, chances are good it's just not loving where you have it. So first rule of thumb is always move the plant somewhere else and see how it does. Well, I have created quite a mess. I mean, we've been talking together for how long?
Almost 51 minutes.
Yeah, almost an hour. I've emptied like a square foot of garden space. I'm not complaining. This looks so good and clean. I've pulled all of this off. I'm going to go to the added step of separating and keeping the stems, not pitching those, putting them in the garden of death. We'll check in on those from time to time. We'll see if they throw off little plantlets. And then, as I said, for my members that have been gracious and have joined my channel and supported me, I'm going to see about ways to get plants to you from time to time. So.
And then one last thing. You go to Rock Yards to get all of your top dressings almost always because you can buy in bulk and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And she waters with a hose, overhand watering. It's her preference. So
Oh, yeah.
Those are just some more comments that popped up.
Yeah, I love watering. So I have automatic sprinklers. I have never turned them on. In the 10 years, 11 years we've lived here, they have never been on because I really like to hand water. And yes, I love buying bulk, but you can also get top dressings at box stores too if you want bags.
Thank you all so much, all 470 of you who are still here for joining. Thank you to all of the new members who joined. We look forward to getting to know you better. We're going to be doing this again soon. Hope to see you guys again, right?
Yes.
Dad, do you want to say bye and thank you?
Bye, thank you very much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Next time we'll make sure to show some of the cactus. I know that a lot of people are asking about her cactus garden. And yeah, we'll tackle another area.
You guys have a really, really awesome day and get out there and do something in the garden. Love you guys.